So founded and organized by Lenny Causer, one of the parents. And it is a sizable organization that has a lot of volunteers and people working for it. And I believe their job is to combat free speech online.
Did instead of finding peace, did that result in people being further pushed apart between Alex and the Honor Network?
Yes.
What is deplatforming?
Deplatforming is when you are, no judge and the jury, just kicked off a platform, a big platform such as YouTube, Facebook, Twitter.
Was InfoWars deplatformed?
Yes.
And when you say deplatformed, what do you mean? What happens?
Your profile, your account is just deleted. All the content of the channel page are deleted. Videos, articles, posts. Your followers are deleted. Yes, never existed.
And off of what platforms was InfoWars deleted?
YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, Airbnb, a bunch of others I can't think of right now.
What portion of internet traffic is, in terms of social media, it is represented by the platforms that canceled Alex Jones?
Say 80–90%.
Alex Jones sells products on InfoWars.
InfoWars stores.
Now, why is it important for an organization, a dissident organization like InfoWars, to be self-funded?
Well, that's the very difference that InfoWars has compared to the corporate media like Fox, CNN, MSNBC. They have corporate sponsors that provide salaries to their employees, studio equipment, maintenance fees, rent, all of that. We have to do it on our own. Alex has to get that money by selling supplements that are good for you. It's not junk stuff that he's selling. He's sourcing very good quality vitamins and tries to do right by the public because he knows karma is going to get back to him if he sells something bad, makes money off of it. So in his heart of hearts, he's trying to come up with the best products to sell, and it's that's why he always says it's a win-win. You benefit, he benefits with the money, and he can sustain about 50, 80 employees of the company who have families and are being paid for the job, and we can have good equipment, we can keep our studios clean, and do whatever maintenance we need to do, and just keep everyone happy.
What happens to a dissident network that is reliant on corporate sponsorship and advertising and big business?
Well, they're beholden to their advertisers, what advertisers want those people to say, their opinions, their narratives. And because Alex's advantage and InfoWars' advantage, and the reason why people listen to us is because he isn't beholden to those entities, and the opinions that he projects on air are completely his own, and he cannot be influenced.
Let me ask you, as a producer, are the topics that Alex Jones covers on his show in any way linked to the number of sales that are happening of any given product?
Say that again, please.
Perhaps it's easier if I give an example. Have you ever observed, or is there any way that Alex Jones tracks how much of a specific product is being sold when he's discussing a specific topic so that he can discuss it more and sell more products?
No, absolutely not. I mean, even if he wanted to, he would be able to do that because his mind is racing on the show. He wouldn't be able to keep track of that in his head.
do you think, as corporate representative and as an employee of InfoWars who's been there for the last 7 years, that Alex Jones made money or lost money by covering his questions about Sandy Hook?
Your Honor, objection. That not only violates MILs, but it's irrelevant. There's no foundation.
So.
Have you known Alex Jones?
Since I started working for him at the end of 2014.
And how much time do you spend with him on average on a given day?
Five, 6 hours on average, sometimes a lot more.
Does he also communicate with you by text message?
Yes.
Have you observed a personal change in him over the last 4 years?
Yes, I have.
Can you describe that for the members of the jury?
I think his mood, his health, his general demeanor, he's always stressed out, frantic, can't relax, even if he goes on vacations, he just can't relax. He has to constantly monitor the show, has to worry about where the money's coming from, support for the operation to keep going. That's mostly his concern currently, so that we don't shut down. And he's aged a lot past few years. I just think it's weighed, this whole Sandy Hook thing has weighed heavily on him because people don't know the shooter's name, but they think Alex Jones murdered those children. And if you search his name on the internet, that's too much more to see.
It's the same. Just as before, just answer the question you're asked and then let Mr. Reynal ask another question.
When you say people think Alex Jones rather than Adam Lanza murdered the children, what do you mean by that?
Because when people are hearing the word Sandy Hook, they automatically think Alex Jones. But if you were to ask them who was the perpetrator of Sandy Hook, they would say Alex Jones, and they wouldn't know the name Adam Lanza.
Thank you. I do.
All right. Any more questions?
Can we approach before I begin?
You can. Whenever you're ready. Mr. Banks. You might want to.
I want to ask you about something. I'm going to kind of go backwards from what we heard most recently and work our way back. And what I think I heard is that when people pester you, it negatively affects you in numerous ways, such as health and well-being. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, could you rephrase?
We were talking about Alex Jones getting pestered and that it has negatively affected him in numerous ways about his health and well-being. That's what you just testified to?
No, I didn't use the word pester.
Okay, let's not quibble about the words. What word would you like me to use to describe the people who were bothering Alex Jones? Is bother
He's
okay?
being lied about.
When people lie about you, it affects you negatively. It can affect your well-being and your health. That's what's happened to Alex Jones.
On the level that it's been done to him, yes.
Do you understand the irony and hypocrisy of making that statement in this courtroom right now? Do you understand that?
Your Honor, I'm going to reject argumentative for calling for a.
Well, I'm going to overrule it. I wouldn't go past this question.
Sure, okay. Well, let me rephrase it. Let me ask the question again for you. Do you understand that Mr. Jones claiming that he has suffered health effects and negative things in his life from people lying on him in a grand scale? Do you understand how that could be viewed very hypocritically in this courtroom right now because of why my plaintiffs are here?
It's just the truth. What am I supposed to say?
Let's talk about Honor. The Honor Network, you said it was a sizable organization. You said that under oath?
Yes?
How many people? How do you know that?
I saw it in the book, the New York Times writer's book.
Saw that there were dozens of people.
She talks
Working
about
for the Honor.
to you. I'll tell you to you.
Is that what your testimony is? There were dozens of people working in the Honor Network.
To my recollection, she puts it as a pretty sizable organization.
Okay, so right now you're not even doing this off your personal knowledge. You think you read this somewhere, is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying it's in the book about Sandy Hook by the New York Times writer Elizabeth Williamson.
That's what I'm saying. You think that's what you read in that book.
Yes.
Okay. You aren't familiar with the fact that the Honor Network existed before Sandy Hook. Did you know that? The letters HONR? Did you know that that existed before Sandy Hook?
I'm not sure.
Did you know that was, you know that it was started by Mr. Posner, right?
Yes.
Did you know that that was just, he had a web domain business and that was a web domain he had lying around? Did you know that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And did you know that, is there any money in the Honor Network?
I'm not sure.
Okay. In fact, you don't know, do you? Did you know we talked yesterday? Were you aware that it was simply a method for a couple of parents to stay anonymous while making complaints? Haven't you heard that before?
That's what you're saying.
That is what I'm saying. I'm wondering, do you disagree with me? Do you sitting here saying under oath that it's a sizable organization? Do you disagree with me?
I'm not part of that organization, so I cannot tell you for sure. I just can tell you what I read.
You can just report hearsay that you heard somewhere else. You have no personal knowledge of that, right? Let's just make that clear.
I'm not part of that organization.
Okay. You also said it combats free speech, right?
That's my opinion.
Do you understand sitting here today that what InfoWars is in this courtroom for is not free speech?
Respectfully disagree.
Okay. So in other words, going forward, after this trial is over, InfoWars believes that the things it did in this case, it's allowed to do again, right?
I've already testified to how that he's made mistakes.
All right, objection non-responsive.
Mistake.
What I'm asking you is, does InfoWars feel going forward it has the right under the law to do this sort of thing?
Could you define this sort of thing?
Everything you're on trial, this company is on trial for in this court. Can it do it in the future? Does it believe it can legally?
The company believes it has the right to question public events to the best of their ability, try to search for the truth. And welcome debate on all sides.
He said in this 2017 apology that he wanted to talk to the parents, right?
Yes,
Parents had already tried to talk to him, right? Didn't they send him emails? Right? Is that correct, Ms. Karpova?
could you remind me the email you referred to?
You read one on the stand yesterday from Mr. Posner, didn't you?
Read a lot of emails.
That's not the only people who tried to get a hold of Mr. Jones, is it?
Objection vague, Your Honor.
It's not the only parents of Sandy Hook who brought their complaints to Mr. Jones' attention.
Could you remind me the specific thing you referred to?
I want to know if you know.
My testimony is the same. We get a lot of emails. Most of them are anonymous.
Said Mr. Jones would be a great advocate for the parents, right?
Correct?
Didn't he tell him he's not somebody to mess with? Didn't we see that?
Out of context.
Okay. You said that you were talking about the Megyn Kelly piece, right? In 2017?
Yes,
She did a profile on Jones, right?
yes,
She said it was going to be about the scope of his career, but what I believe you testified to is that the entire piece was about Sandy Hook.
the vast majority of the piece was about Sandy Hook, and the interview had become known for her asking him about Sandy Hook.
And that's a profile. You've watched the Megyn Kelly profile. You know what it's about. Right? Okay. Your Honor, at this time we'd move to admit plaintiff's video exhibit 22, which is the Megyn Kelly profile in its entirety, so we can see what it's actually about.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor. Authentication and hearsay.
Response?
It's for impeachment
The full video?
because she says the entire piece is about Sandy Hook. Yes.
So admitting it not to okay, so it's going to be admitted for that limited purpose to impeach the testimony that you just heard, not to take the content of it as truth.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, now be heard.
Yeah.
That is, it's not the witness's prior statement. It's not proper impeachment. It's a collateral matter. Improper impeachment.
If not, don't either, sorry.
I mean,
They listed Megyn Kelly on the witness list.
how long is it?
It's about 17 minutes, I think. Tell you, Your Honor, obviously, I'm not out to read anything in the video for the truth of what is asserted, and I'm offered it purely for impeachment. I'm even willing to compromise to say I just want to publish it to the jury and not admit it into evidence.
Well,
Your Honor, by jury.
I can't read and listen at the same time. I'm going to overrule the objection. Admit the plaintiff's video 22 for the limited purpose, so not for the truth of what it contains, but for impeachment.
Ms. Karpova, at this time, we're going to play plaintiff's video exhibit 22, so I'd like you to pay close attention while we watch that, okay?
First tonight, our report on the incendiary radio host, Alex Jones. For years, Jones has been spreading conspiracy theories, claiming, for instance, that elements of the US government allowed the 9/11 attacks to happen, and that the horrific Sandy Hook massacre was a hoax. Some thought we shouldn't broadcast this interview because his baseless allegations aren't just offensive, they're dangerous. But here's the thing. Alex Jones isn't going away. Over the years, his YouTube channel has racked up 1.3 billion views. He has millions of listeners and the ear of our current president. We begin our report with his reaction to the recent terrorist attack in Manchester, England. Jones was nearly 5,000 miles away from Manchester, England, where a suicide bomber killed 22 people at a concert less than 4 weeks ago. Despite the distance and with few facts known, Jones did what he often does, jumped mouth first into controversy.
A big bomb goes off at a pop star's rock concert, bombing a bunch of liberal trendies.
You said it was a bunch of liberal trendies who were killed, the same people who are promoting open borders, bringing Islamists in.
Yes.
In response to which many people looked at the victims, many of whom were 15, 14. There was a little.
I'm sorry I didn't blow them up. I don't know, but I did something bad though.
No, that you would suggest that an 8-year-old, right? There was Safi Rose Rousseau, 8 years old, that she was a liberal trendy. Because that's what you said about the victims, is what has people like that.
No, but the media misrepresenting and clipping that the way you did. I got home at like 6 o'clock, heard about it. The ages of the victims weren't even known, but they were saying it was jihadi. And I said, how crazy is it that liberal trendies are now the victims? And then I started going and looking. Of course, if there's kids being killed by Muslims, I'm not saying that it's their fault.
That pattern, reckless accusation followed by equivocations and excuses, is classic Alex Jones.
They can just carte blanche go anywhere they want.
He has spent nearly 2 decades on the fringe, shouting his conspiracy theories into any microphone he could get in front of. Here he is on Austin Community Television in 2001.
Tyranny is enveloping the globe.
He and his company InfoWars have been steadily gaining followers for years, producing radio shows and webcasts, which reach millions a month. But Jones's influence hit new heights when he attracted a very famous fan, then presidential candidate Donald Trump.
I just want to finish by saying your reputation's amazing.
In December 2015, Mr. Trump appeared on Jones's radio program, offering praise and promises.
I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope. And I think we'll be speaking a lot.
Separately, both men had supported the false statement that Barack Obama was not a natural-born citizen.
Donald Trump is surging.
And they've had more in common since.
I agree with Trump on that. He agrees with me. Because I got articles. He's following Alex on coal. He's following Alex on guns. He's following Alex on borders.
The 2016 campaign was good for InfoWars. Its YouTube monthly views reached 83 million in November 2016, more than 5 times higher than the previous November. And when Mr. Trump won, Alex Jones found himself with access to the seat of power. InfoWars got a temporary White House press pass for the first time, and Jones says Mr. Trump called him after the election to thank him for his help. You have said that it's surreal to say something on InfoWars and then hear it come out of the President of the United States' mouth a couple days later.
I mean, that has happened, but
Do you think he's watching?
Trump watches, sees the clips and things.
We did find indications of that. On July 22nd, 2015, InfoWars put up this video claiming it showed drug trafficking along the US-Mexico border, although we don't know what it actually shows.
We actually witnessed a drug smuggling operation from Mexico into the US.
3 days later, Mr. Trump gave this speech in Iowa.
Big stories all over the place now. Guys swimming across and big bags of stuff, drugs, swimming across the river.
This was InfoWars previewing the first presidential debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
I think she's going to show up and on drugs, though. She's going to be locked up.
And Mr. Trump's take not long after.
We should take a drug test, right? Because I don't know what's going on with her.
Donald Trump ally and frequent InfoWars guest Roger Stone underscored the connection between Jones and the Trump campaign in a tweet last spring. It read, MSM elites don't see that Alex Jones and InfoWars reach millions of Donald Trump supporters and helped make the Trump revolution.
Donald Trump calls me, secretary says, Donald Trump like to talk to Mr. Jones, you like to talk to him? Yes, boom.
While Jones has boasted of his contact with the president on his radio show, he downplayed it in his interview with us, claiming the mainstream media, or MSM, has exaggerated their connection.
I think my influence on Trump is way, way lower than what MSN has said.
Well, what kind of access do you have?
He's just called sometimes and, talked about politics or thanked me, stuff like that. So,
Would you describe yourself as friends?
no,
Friendly?
sure.
And how many times has he called you?
I don't want to get into all that.
What is it you think about Alex Jones that President Trump finds so amazing?
That's a scary question.
Charlie Sykes is a conservative writer and contributor to NBC News. He's been critical of President Trump.
Obviously, there's a conspiratorial turn in the president's thinking and his imagination, and those darker impulses are fed into by Alex Jones.
Jones speaks to his listeners for hours a day, 6 days a week. His rants can be vulgar and hate-filled, like this one directed at a member of Congress.
Schiff looks like the archetypal. And there's something about this fairy hopping around, bossing everybody around, trying to intimidate people like me and you. I want to tell Congressman Schiff and all the rest of them, you want to sit here and say that I'm a Russian? You get in my face with that, I'll beat your ass, you son of a bitch.
Jones began developing his conspiracy theories as a teenager. He grew up the oldest child of a dentist and a homemaker, and went to high school in Austin, Texas.
I read a lot of history books when I was a kid, and I also had family that was educated. So, I just knew how things actually worked versus what the news was saying sometimes.
After a brief stint in community college, Jones found his calling at public access TV in Austin. He went into business for himself, founding InfoWars in 1999. Many doubted his prospects, but he's now worth millions.
I'm Alex Jones, your host.
InfoWars makes most of its money by selling products like male supplements.
It has just come off of me, and soon there'll be nothing left.
The main pitchman, Jones himself.
It costs $45, $50 million a year.
How much money is being made?
Well, the money that's made is pretty much put back into things.
Jones uses that money to spread his message, a message that has caused enormous pain.
What he has done is he has injected this sort of toxic paranoia into the mainstream of conservative thought in a way that would have been inconceivable a couple of decades ago. We're talking about somebody who traffics in some of the sickest, most offensive types of theories.
At the top of that list is Jones's outrageous statement that the slaughter of innocent children and teachers at Sandy Hook Elementary School, one of the darkest chapters in American history, was a hoax.
I lost my son. I buried my son. I held my son with a bullet hole through his head.
Neil Heslin's son Jesse, just 6 years old, was murdered, along with 19 of his classmates and 6 adults, on December 14th, 2012, in Newtown, Connecticut.
I dropped him off in 904. That's when we dropped him off at school with his book bag. Weeks later, I was picking him up in a body bag.
Alex Jones repeatedly claimed that the shooting never happened. Here he is on InfoWars in December 2014.
But it took me about a year with Sandy Hook to come to grips with the fact that the whole thing was fake.
You said the whole thing is a giant hoax. How do you deal with the total hoax? It took me about a year with Sandy Hook to come to grips with the fact that the whole thing was fake. I did deep research and my gosh, it just pretty much didn't happen.
At that point, and I do think there's some cover up and some manipulation, that is pretty much what I believe. But then I was also going in devil's advocate, but then we know there's mass shootings and these things happen. So, yeah.
You're trying to have it always, right? No, I'm not. If you wrongly went out there and said it was a hoax, that's wrong.
But what I already answered your question was listeners and other people are covering this. I didn't create that story.
But Alex, the parents, one after the other, devastated. The dead bodies that the coroner autopsy.
And they blocked all that or won't release any of it? That's unprecedented.
All the parents
Even the
decided to
reports.
come out and lie about their dead children.
I didn't say that.
What happened to the children?
I will sit there on the air and look at every position and play devil's advocate.
Was that devil's advocate? The whole thing is a giant hoax. The whole thing was fake.
Yes, because I remember even that day, I go back from memory, them saying, but then some of it looks like it's real. But then what do you do when they've got the kids going in circles in and out of the building with their hands up? I've watched the footage and it looks like a drill.
When you say parents faked their children's death, people get very angry.
Yeah, well, that's all I know, but they don't get angry about the $500,000 average from the sanctions, or they don't get angry about all the
That's a
illegals.
dodge.
No, it's not a dodge. The media never covers all the evil wars it's promoted, all the
That
big
doesn't
things.
excuse what you did and said about Newtown. You know
Here's the difference. Here's the difference. I looked at all the angles of Newtown, and I made my statements long before the media even picked up on it.
In our interview, we asked Jones numerous times what he now believes, and he never completely disavowed his previous statements.
I tend to believe that children probably did die there, but then you look at all the other evidence on the other side, I can see how other people believe that nobody died there.
Of course, there is no evidence on the other side. After President Trump took office, the Newtown Board of Education wrote to him, imploring the president to try to stop Jones and other hoaxers like him, saying Jones continues to spread hate and lies towards our town. Almost 4 months later, according to the board chairman, the president has yet to respond. The lies about Sandy Hook have had real-world consequences. Just this month, a Florida woman was sentenced to 5 months in prison for sending death threats to a Sandy Hook parent. Her defense attorney says she was primarily motivated by InfoWars. Other victims' family members have been harassed or threatened too. The families say that Jones's words have caused lasting pain, and they fear the harassment will continue.
You know, it's disrespectful to me, or in fact, I did lose my son, and 26 other families lost somebody, and I take that very personal.
You know, this piece is going to air on Father's Day.
Correct.
What is your message to him?
I think he's blessed to have his children to spend the day with, to speak to. I don't have that.
Everybody.
The consequences of Jones's actions are not limited to Sandy Hook.
Pizzagate, as it's called, is a rabbit hole that is horrifying to go down now.
In 2016, Jones promoted a conspiracy theory known as Pizzagate. InfoWars claimed a child sex ring was being run by Democrats out of a number of businesses, and specifically pointed to a Washington, D.C. pizzeria.
You gotta go to InfoWars.com and actually see the photos and videos inside these places.
Jones encouraged his listeners to investigate the case themselves. Did, bringing a semi-automatic rifle to the shop and firing several rounds. No one was hurt, and the shooter was arrested. The pizza shop owner wrote a letter asking Jones to apologize. Facing the possibility of a lawsuit, he did.
We regret any negative impact our commentaries may have had on Mr. Alphonse, Comic Ping Pong, or its employees.
Another apology came just this spring. Chobani Yogurt sued Jones after InfoWars fanned the lie that Chobani employees committed a sexual assault in Idaho.
On behalf of InfoWars, I regret that we mischaracterized Chobani.
You misstated facts about Chobani and its owner, which you could have found out if you just had a reporter do a little shoe leather reporting, pick up the phone, call, check out the facts. You never would have had to retract that or apologize.
This is my statement on that. We know that that was basically a PR event. And what happens is you got a year of reporting on the reported sexual assault.
All of which has nothing to do with Chobani.
Yeah, I know you're not gonna let me get it out.
I'm gonna let you get it. I just want to make sure the record's straight because I don't want to smear the man. You are the one who said that you were wrong about Chobani. You said that.
Well, that's because they chose to go after me. And so I simply pointed out that we were reporting other people's reports that were not entirely accurate, and for that we were sorry, because it's true.
You don't sound very sorry.
Now, the media said stuff about the settlement that wasn't true.
You said things about Chobani and its owner that were not true. Are you sorry?
I'm gonna tell you again, the media really was upset that they said that there was a
It's
hoax.
not the
And so
media.
what they did,
You.
and so what they did,
Are you
and so
sorry?
what they did, so what the media did, and we know it was the media. And we have the PIs and the law firms, and we're working on it right now. Let's just say Chobani was real happy to get out of that lawsuit.
The lawsuit makes clear InfoWars was the only media outlet to report the lie that forced Jones to apologize. And with that apology, Chobani considers the matter closed. Do you think of yourself as a journalist?
I have some journalists that work for me, and I have a journalistic work, and I've broken a lot of big stories, and I understand, the basics of it. I can find a line of London thing.
In the InfoWars studio, there's no script. Instead, it's a freewheeling spin through piles of articles straight off the internet.
95% of what we cover is looking at a news article and then, discussing.
Well, if you just look at an article and discuss it, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? If you haven't ascertained the veracity of that article and it's all BS and you spend 2 hours talking about it, then you put out a bunch of misinformation. I'm just trying to figure out what the vetting process is.
We all get Hillary was 15 points ahead, okay? And I mean, we all get mainstream media has got a big problem.
The InfoWars staffers we met have free reign to cover whatever they like with virtually no oversight. We spoke with some of Jones's employees, including Owen Schroyer. How do you, on a day-to-day basis, figure out what you're gonna do?
I wake up, I look at the news, I pray. I rarely get directives from Alex or my boss. They pretty much just leave it up to me.
Is that what you consider yourself to be, a journalist?
I don't like calling it that. I'm just a human. I'm just a human that's looking for truth. So I'm trying to reach out and be what people want.
When you say people, who do you mean?
The deplorables, the flyover country, the forgotten American.
When you get to work immediately for the American kid.
With the election of Donald Trump, Alex Jones has plans to expand InfoWars. More studios, more shows, more employees, more influence.
I said the 91, I said the war is just begun. So we just got a beachhead. And so that's just the start of the war for me.
Alex Jones goes into battle with a powerful ally. Just 2 weeks ago, the Trump-Pence campaign emailed this message to supporters. Notice at the bottom, it's a link to InfoWars.
NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.
Ms. Karpova, we just watched a 17.5-minute video, correct?
Correct.
By my count, 4 minutes of that was about Sandy Hook. Does that sound about right to you? Does that sound about
I
right?
disagree.
Did you have a stopwatch up there?
No, but I can
Like-
tell you if you behind the scenes, the stuff in the before Sandy Hook was an introduction. That was the Sandy Hook reason for the interview, and then there was a cherry on top afterwards.
All right, well, what I'm trying to get at, Ms. Karpova, is you told us the entire thing was about Sandy Hook. And
Yes,
that's not,
and
hold on, Ms. Karpova. Told us the entire thing was about Sandy Hook. But in fact, we saw statement after statement after statement of false things Mr. Jones has apologized for that have nothing to do with Sandy Hook. You agree with that?
I stand by my statement when I said the interview had become about Sandy Hook almost entirely because the clips that got reposted to Twitter and YouTube were exclusively on the Sandy Hook segment. So the interview got famous for the Sandy Hook, so it became about Sandy Hook, and that's what I said.
Okay, Ms. Karpova. I'm going to show you right now a document I know you and I have looked at before. You recognize what this is, don't you?
Could you remind me, please?
Yeah. You see these dates right here? And you
Yes.
see it has totals. Right? Refund, sales tax, shipping, sales discount. Now, do you remember what this is?
I'm not sure this doesn't have a title on it as to what it's referring to.
Didn't you testify to me that this is the daily sales revenue of the InfoWars store? We went through all through this chart, right?
Again, we had like an 8-hour deposition.
I don't believe that's true, Ms. Karpova. That's okay. We can take pull up your deposition if you want to see how long you were in it. We can do that. But what I'm asking you right now is you clearly remember testifying about InfoWars sales data during the deposition, right? That was one of the things you were supposed to prepare on, right?
I was specifically told to prepare instead.
That's not what I'm asking you, Ms. Karpova, and I think you know that.
Yes.
And I think you also know that you were asked to prepare on this information, correct?
I was prepared the best I could.
Right. And one of the things you testified about is this document. Do you need me to go pull the exhibit from your deposition to show you? Okay. Let me see if I'm going to need to do that. First, Your Honor, I would like to offer and see if Mr. Verdon has an objection to Ms. Karpova's deposition exhibit 35. She's now
This is gonna be a new exhibit.
Yes, Your Honor, plaintiff
So-
35.
Oh, it's.
Yeah, it's already in evidence. Show her that once her deposition exhibit, I'll need to have to go pull.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so plaintiff 35 is already admitted.
No objection.
Okay, So
Thank you, Mr.
are
Reynolds.
we creating a new exhibit?
It's actually, it is your current exhibit 35.
Okay,
No, I was just trying to clear up for her that it was an exhibit to her deposition as well.
so my question is, are you seeking to admit something that's her actual deposition to show that it was an exhibit there? I'm a little confused.
No, we're actually, Mr. Reynolds agreed to admit plaintiff's 35. as
Okay, it
stands
was
right now.
already admitted.
Oh, was it really?
Yes. Admitted at pre-trial.
All right, Ms. Karpova. Let me show you here. Melissa, can you bring up 35 for me? Leave that in front of you, okay? You have a screen there as well. I want you to have all the pages. If you can tell me, Ms. Karpova, what is the first date on this document?
September 18th.
Okay, can you flip to the last page? Melissa, you can do the same, and you can tell me what the last date on that document is.
December 31st.
Okay,
18th.
so you would agree with me that this chart includes a couple of months in 2015 and then 2016 through 2018, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you see that there are totals at the bottom of the page, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and one of the things that you testified to me, isn't it true, is that over that period of time, InfoWars generated $165 million in revenue from the InfoWars store. That's what you testified to?
That's what the document says.
I have no more questions for you, Ms. Karpova.
Thank you.
You were at InfoWars when Megan Kelly was shooting her show.
Yes.
You had a chance to watch the clip, the video that we just watched together.
Yes.
As a producer and somebody who works and watched it be filmed, has it been heavily edited?
Very heavily with a very distinct bias to make Alex look bad, having him sweat on camera, having him there for hours under hot lights, making him just look like a maniac.
Any questions?
All right, thank you. This time, we're going to take our afternoon break a little bit early to allow my jury to propose any questions that they may have for this witness. Please remember my earlier instructions. This is an opportunity. You're not encouraged or requested to do so. It's only if you have a question that you think this witness needs to answer. This is an individual opportunity, meaning each of you individually without conversation with each other or anyone else may propose a question or questions. We're also going to make this our break. My guess is we'll be coming back around 3:15, which is 30 minutes. It may be plus or minus a few minutes. All right, thank you so much.
All rise.
Well, one of you open the door for me because I forgot my badge. And Ms. Carbova, you'll need to wait in the hallway. Thank you.
You go ahead, you go ahead. Come back here. Can we rejam before the next session?
I've asked you to rejam at any break. Yeah. That's fine.
Here. Turn it back on.
Should we do this?
Maybe. There you go. Well, no. It would be after your second. Okay. She does.
No, I mean, yeah, it's not. I wonder if it- That's not bad.
That's old at this point.
Well, I mean, that's the way. Straight up the afternoon.
There just for now. Which is funny. I did just coach this side. Back here though. Over the kettle. Might, but I don't know that's gonna do what's going through there. You know? I wonder if it helps Shannon out. With her on. Hers is fixed, I think so. Oh, like a while ago. Because I know she had issues with that. Yeah, it's a while ago. I need a 40. But my friend to the back of the
Yeah, one.
And where's the double seven? Double seven. Single.
Just get ready to review the questions. Sure.
Yes. Yeah, so. Bobby! Bobby Barnes is here. Everybody, look at that. Media star. I got you. I've got 5. Mr. Cole? Oh, no, you're going to move on there.
Yes, one of them. We got plenty of them.
Huh? I know with the Arrows. I mean, or with the C-70.
He literally has, he's like, the judge is gonna come up and see it, like sitting there. Literally gonna see it, like sitting there.
Oh. That was my, you got. I got 2, right? So that's good.
No, it's today, so we go, we're definitely gonna get this is 3. We got, we're gonna do. I think you would have some partnership, right?
I think tomorrow you probably sit back here, I'm gonna sit up there. As long as you ask questions. I will ask questions. Yeah, don't figure, we're just playing here, we got.
All right. Wrong every time. She's in the hallway, right?
I believe so, sure.
Everyone can sit down so I can tell. I need to shut that door. Thank you. All right. Some of the questions have been asked so many times, I'm not going to ask them again.
Sure.
And at least one I don't understand, so I won't ask that one, but for this one. What have you, as a person working for Alex Jones and his beliefs? So, where is Mr. Reynal?
It's not quite 3:15 yet, girl.
Right, I said 3:10, I think,
He's right here.
and that was with the jury, and he knows we have to go over the questions before the jury comes back.
He was on his way up. Let me look.
But no, you represent
Fine, it
everyone.
happened to your office.
All right, what have you, okay, so we're not asking that one because it's not a complete sentence. This is the one that I feel like has been asked a million times. But I'll reset. Do you search for true evidence before Mr. Jones starts his topics on the show? I feel like we ask that a lot, but certainly an allowable question. Says it has a grammar problem. It just says that Mr. Jones allowed his employees to double check about what he is going to talk about on his show is true. That's just not a question. So I just can't ask that. It's not a question. What companies are part of free speech systems? What is the average annual revenue of free speech systems circa 2014 to 2016? What does Sandy Hook vampires exposed mean? Is this referring to actual vampires or is this metaphorical? Who are the globalists? What is Fast and Furious? Why did Rob Duke leave InfoWars? What is your annual salary? Is this what most InfoWars employees make? Why do you think you were chosen to represent the company? To your knowledge, has Alex ever mentioned the plaintiff's names on air? If so, what was the context? The plaintiff showed a profit loss, I think he's talking about the exhibit, for the period of 2015 through 12/31/2018, indicating the InfoWars store generated, okay, I think we can skip the intro. What other revenue streams did InfoWars have during this period? How much revenue was generated via these other revenue streams? So I'll just say during 2015 to 2018. Now, this part's not. Who walked in? Oh, okay, this part's not on the record. Yeah, okay, good. How much revenue did InfoWars generate as of 12/31/2021 and as of the most recent quarter ending in 2022? Who vets or qualifies guests prior to their appearance? If nobody does, is the public aware of that? Do you think the company has a responsibility to vet guests? How many radio listeners on average listen to the show? How many viewers watch the show on the website on average? How many listen on shortwave? On how many unique broadcasts or stories was Wolfgang Halbig featured or interviewed on any Alex Jones related medium? A, specific to Sandy Hook, B, on any other topic. 2, what is the total number of known unique videos and articles related to Sandy Hook on any Alex Jones related medium? Would you say that Alex is being his true self when he responds to the news on his show, or do you think he's adopting a personality like how an actor or influencer might? It's a long one. Under oath, in whatever capacity as a witness you choose to answer, is it your opinion that InfoWars is a trustworthy news organization dedicated to investigative journalism, or an infotainment organization that only purports to be a news organization in the pursuit of making money and purposely focuses on unsubstantiated and unprovable claims of a fantastical nature in order to tantalize its viewers? Neither are valid representations in your opinion, then will you say under oath that InfoWars is not a trustworthy source for news? While working at InfoWars, has Alex Jones ever knowingly presented false information? How many employees were with Alex Jones InfoWars when you joined in 2015? How many are there now? How would you compare the anguish suffered by Alex Jones from people accusing him of lies or killing the Sandy Hook children to the anguish suffered by the parents from Alex Jones' claims that the Sandy Hook shootings never happened or that the parents were stage actors? Do you believe that this whole trial is somehow a staged event? Asking you as a person and also as the corporate representative. Any objections?
We have no objections to any of this. Nor do we.
All right, I guess we'll hear what she has to say. We can bring the witness in and we can bring the jury in. I'm gonna give her an instruction to answer freely and directly. Yeah, come back up to the witness stand, please. Wait for the jury.
Perhaps. Say something else.
You may, but it's
Perhaps.
not on the record because my court order is standing up.
I understand this. Perhaps a question about why she was speaking as a corporate rep.
You can't.
Okay.
You can't. First of all, if you want to talk about it, she needs to go in the hall.
You're right.
So are you asking me to send her back out to the hall so we can talk about it?
I don't think it's that big.
Be seated. All right, Ms. Karpova, what's going to happen now is I'm going to ask you some questions and you're going to answer them. And I'm going to instruct you to please carefully listen to the question and answer only the question and nothing else. Do you understand? Right. So it's going to be pretty rapid fire, just question, answer, question. For my jury, remember, if you don't hear your question or one of your questions or part of your question, that's because I made a decision that it wasn't appropriate for some reason. Sure. Do you search for true evidence before Mr. Jones starts his topics on the show?
Alex talks about the whatever articles that he's being presented to.
What companies are part of free speech systems?
All companies, free speech systems.
What is the average annual revenue of the free speech systems from 2014 to 2016?
I don't have the information on that.
What does Sandy Hook vampires exposed mean? Is this referring to actual vampires or is this metaphorical?
It is definitely metaphorical. It's meant to compare those who exploit a tragedy to somebody who would
Who are the globalists?
The globalists are people who have a worldwide agenda that they want every country to follow and have control over, without there being sovereign nations that can determine their own future.
What is Fast and Furious?
Fast and Furious was a drug running operation in South America.
Why did Rob Dew leave InfoWars?
As far as I know, he wanted to move on.
What is your annual salary?
About 125,000.
Is this what most InfoWars employees make?
I'm not sure.
Why do you think you were chosen to represent the company?
Council at the time thought I'd be the best person for the job.
To your knowledge, has Alex ever mentioned the plaintiff's names on air?
Not that I recall.
What other revenue streams besides the InfoWars store did InfoWars have during the 2015 to 2018 period?
I don't know of any other revenue.
How much revenue did InfoWars generate as of December 31st, 2021?
I don't have that breakdown.
How much revenue did InfoWars generate as of the most recent quarter end of 2022?
Don't have enough.
That's or qualifies guests prior to their appearance.
Producer.
Do you think the company has a responsibility to vet guests?
To an extent of our ability.
How many radio listeners on average listen to the show? How many viewers of the show view it on the website?
Show has a wide reach. Millions.
How many listeners are on shortwave radio?
Don't have those statistics right now.
On how many unique broadcasts or stories was Wolfgang Howard featured or interviewed on any Alex Jones related medium specific to Sandy Hook? On how many unique broadcasts or stories was Wolfgang Halbig featured or interviewed on any Alex Jones related medium specific to Sandy Hook?
The number was calculated to be a fraction of 0.5% of the entirety of the
Miss Karpova, let me read the question so you can answer the question you were asking. On how many unique broadcasts or stories was Wolfgang Halbig featured or interviewed on any Alex Jones related medium specific to Sandy Hook?
Less than 0.5%.
That is not a number. Do you not know the answer? You may say, I do not know.
I do not know the number.
On how many unique broadcasts or stories was Wolfgang Halbig featured or interviewed on any Alex Jones related medium on any other topic?
Zero.
What is the total number of known unique videos and articles? I'm going to read that again so you can listen carefully. What is the total number of known unique videos and articles related to Sandy Hook on any Alex Jones related medium?
I don't know the number.
Would you say that Alex is being his true self when he responds to the news on his show? Or do you think he is adopting a personality like an actor or influencer might?
100% his true self.
Under oath, in whatever capacity as a witness you choose to answer, is it your opinion that InfoWars is a trustworthy news organization dedicated to investigative journalism, or an infotainment organization that only purports to be a news organization in the pursuit of making money and purposefully focuses on unsubstantiated and unprovable claims of a fantastical nature in order to tantalize its viewers?
Neither.
If neither are valid representations in your opinion, then will you say under oath that InfoWars is not a trustworthy source for news?
Could you repeat that, please?
If neither are valid representations in your opinion, then will you say under oath that InfoWars is not a trustworthy source for news?
I would not say that.
While working at InfoWars, has Alex Jones ever knowingly presented false information?
No.
How many employees were with Alex Jones InfoWars when you joined in 2015?
Between 50 and 80,
And how many are there now?
roughly about the same.
How would you compare the anguish suffered by Alex Jones from people accusing him of lies or killing the Sandy Hook children to the anguish suffered by the parents from Alex Jones' claims that the Sandy Hook shootings never happened or that the parents were staged actors?
Well, losing a child is a lot worse.
I'm going to read the question so you can listen to it and answer the question that you were asked. How would you compare the anguish suffered by Alex Jones from people accusing him of lies or killing the Sandy Hook children to the anguish suffered by the parents from Alex Jones' claims that the Sandy Hook shootings never happened or that the parents were staged actors?
Grief of the parents would not be compared to that the Alex has suffered from the lies that have been told about him, and it's hard to compare those two.
Do you believe that this whole trial is somehow a staged event? Asking you as a person and also as the corporate representative.
I think this trial isn't about Alex Jones or Sandy Hook. I think this trial is about chilling free speech of anyone who's.
All right, I'm going to read you the question one more time and ask you to answer the question that you are asked. Do you believe that this whole trial is somehow a staged event?
Staged.
I think you did that for us earlier.
Because.
No. Listen again. Last chance. Do you believe that this whole trial is somehow a staged event? Yes or no? We'll do it.
To a large extent, yes.
Thank you. Ms. Karpova, you may step down. May this witness be released from the rule and any subpoena if there is one.
Yes, yes, Your Honor, she'll be released from the subpoena and the rule.
Do you also agree to release her? Thank you. All right, Ms. Karpova, you are free to go about your business. Thank you so much for your time and testimony. Your next witness, Mr. Bankston.
Thanks, Colton Shorter.
Mr. Schroyer has not been sworn in yet. Is he here? The deputy will call him. Schroyer, come stand in front of me, please. Yes.
May I review my motion to 4111?
4111. Sure. Overruled.
Mistrust.
Yep. Aye. Every time. Raise your right hand to be sworn in, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Come have a seat here, Mr. Schroyer. Once you do, you'll see there's glass cups, they're not glasses, and water. If you're thirsty, there are microphones. If you have a pretty good projection, you shouldn't need to lean in too much. I'll let you know if you do. Couple of more instructions in case you haven't asked time before. It's not a conversation. It's a question and answer. So you have to listen to the question and answer the question that you're asked. You understand that?
Yes.
You also have to let the question be completed before you begin your answer, even if you think you know what you're being asked. So you have to let them completely finish asking, take a beat, and then answer. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I also need you to answer out loud in words, so head shakes and ahums make for a poor record. Do you understand that? Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Ball.
Yeah, Your Honor.
I'm sorry,
It's okay.
Mr. Farah.
It's okay.
There's so many people. I knew that. I knew that,
I'm
and I
sure.
didn't want to check my notes
You
again,
looked
but
up
I
and
should
saw a
have.
different face in it.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
My apologies, Mr. Farah.
Mr. Schroyer, would you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name is Owen Troyer. I work for InfoWars.
When you say you work for InfoWars, your actual employer is Free Speech Systems LLC, correct?
Correct.
So we're going to kind of use InfoWars as slang because it's infowars.com and that's sort of the name out in the community. But just to be clear, the broadcasts that go up, the one that you did today or yesterday, those are Free Speech System LLC's broadcasts, correct?
Yes.
You've worked for InfoWars or Free Speech Systems. I'm just going to call it InfoWars. Can we make that agreement?
Yes.
And know that we really need free speech, okay?
Yes.
You've worked for them since 2016, correct?
Correct.
What is your current title?
Show host and reporter.
Okay. Show host means you're on the air, right?
Correct.
All right, we're going to get to that in a minute. I hate to ask you this in a public forum, but I need to. Can you tell us what your salary is?
I don't know the exact number, but I believe it's about $120,000 a year before taxes.
Ms. Karpova just testified there's around 50 to 80 employees at Free Speech Systems or InfoWars, correct?
I don't know the exact number, but I would say at least 50, yes.
Okay, and that's been the same since you've been there since 2016, roughly?
Yes.
All right. Alex Jones is the sole owner of Free Speech Systems LLC, correct?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
Infowars.com is obviously on the internet, right?
Correct.
If somebody said that InfoWars lost all access to the internet, that would be an incorrect statement. Fair?
Yes.
Have you ever heard the saying, lawyers that lie should lose?
I don't believe I've heard that.
I didn't either till Tuesday. I thought it was interesting. InfoWars is on right now, right? Or we can pull it up and there's a video. Somebody's probably on live right now, right?
Yes.
I'd like to pull up InfoWars.
Just
Just
to
for
sh-
demonstrative.
Okay,
I'm
he
pulling up
wants to show
Infowars.com.
InfoWars
It's gonna
on
be on
mute. And this is a direct connection to the internet, I take it?
It is. So this is, and I'm gonna walk over, this is InfoWars.com, the homepage. It's active, it's up, it's live, it has been since, as far as you've worked, as long as you've worked for the company, right?
I'm sorry, I was distracted looking at the screen. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, it's my fault. It has been active and live for as long as you've been working for the company, right? InfoWars.com?
Yes.
Okay. And you create content. If you click on band video, this is the content that's created and uploaded to band.com every day, correct?
Yes, band.video.
Band.video. And it's hard to see, but if Lisa, if you'll scroll down just a little bit, you can see how long, obviously the names, how long they are, and when they were uploaded. That's good. So I know the jury can't see this, so I'm just going to say it out loud. Up here is 17 minutes and change, uploaded an hour ago. 13 minutes and some change, uploaded 2 hours ago. 8 minutes and change, uploaded an hour ago, 2 hours ago, hour ago, so forth. So when you guys make a lot of content every single day, right?
Yes.
Have since you've been there, right?
Yes.
There's not been any limitation to your ability to make videos and put them on InfoWars.com, correct?
The videos go to band.video. Sometimes we'll write articles that embed the video to InfoWars.com.
Okay. Bandvideo.com is owned by Free Speech Systems also, correct?
Band.video, I believe, is owned by Free Speech Systems, but I don't know that.
Okay. Point is that there's no sort of drop in ability to make content and put it on your website for your viewers to watch. It hasn't been since 2015, since you started, correct? Or 16?
For us to upload content to band.video?
Yes, sir.
No, other than tech issues on our end.
And then one of the things that are really the only real source of revenue for InfoWars or free speech is, can you go back, Melissa? Is your store, InfoWars store, correct?
Yes.
Let me click on that. No, we got to prove we're not a robot. Putting you on the spot, Lisa.
Robots deciding whether we're robots or not.
Mr. Barry, you talk pretty fast.
I'll
You'll
slow down.
just try to be careful, please.
Scroll down just a little bit if you wouldn't, Lisa. So we see, we have a diet force meal. How do you pronounce this middle one?
Bodies.
Bodies. Some toothpaste. Is this the toothpaste that you guys claim cured COVID? Is that a different one?
No,
There's a different one.
I'm not familiar with that claim.
You're not familiar with the FDA and States Attorneys General saying stop making that claim?
Could I see that claim presented in front of me?
It's not important. Go up to the top a little bit, Lisa. There's different things. There's preparedness, media, specials, gear, just different items that InfoWars sells, and that is really their source of revenue, right?
Yes.
Okay. During the broadcasts, sometimes there will be breaks to promote different items, right? Different things that you sell in your store, correct?
Yeah, we have breaks where we run commercials that feature our products.
Sometimes it's just live, kind of as you're going. Mr. Jones will just say, also buy this pill or supplement or whatever it may be, right?
Sure, that's referred to as a live read.
Okay. I've heard it said that about a third of the content, a third of the show is some form of advertisement for the supplements or whatever it is you guys sell. Does that seem about right to you?
No.
You think it's less?
Yeah.
25%?
Probably less.
Okay. I'm in the ballpark.
I really, I mean, that's, you're getting into math, but if I was, I'd say it's probably maybe 10, 15%.
Lisa, I think you can take that one down. How long have you been hosting shows live on InfoWars?
The show that I host is called The War Room, that launched in September of 2017. I would fill in as a guest host on other InfoWars live shows previously to that, but that was not a regular thing.
You co-host with Mr. Jones often, correct?
I've been a guest on Alex's show. Yes.
You would call it a guest whenever, let's take, for example, Tuesday afternoon, while we were here in court, you and Mr. Jones were live for 3 hours, right?
I don't remember the exact amount of time.
Aren't your segments 3 hours?
No, the segment's about 10 minutes.
Okay. You were live for 3 hours, and that's uploaded to bandvideo.com, right?
Which day are we speaking?
Talking about Tuesday, which was the 26th. I took a screenshot of you and Alex on it. Mark, this is plaintiff's exhibit 124. It's not on the exhibit list, Your Honor, because obviously the chat on Tuesday.
Right.
So maybe it's not there.
Thank you.
Sure.
124,
Yes, sir. I was trying to do the next one.
that's fine.
Does this look like a screenshot of you and Alex, or Mr. Jones, I'm sorry, from Tuesday?
Yes.
And we're going to move to, yes, 124.
Any objection?
Oh, can you put that up?
Plaintiff's 124 is admitted.
You remember the show?
Yes.
Okay, so for 3 hours, you were on for 3 hours. Does that seem right? I don't want to misrepresent.
I think Tuesday I was on for 7 hours.
Sure. This show was 3 hours, and then you did another 30-minute special with just you and Mr. Jones, really about this trial, right?
I don't recall the exact content of the discussion.
Okay. Remember yesterday having my website up and talking bad about me and my partners?
Yesterday?
Or the day before, I guess it was.
Again, I don't recall. Like I said, I was on there for 7 hours, so there was a lot of discussion.
Okay. So this is the studio with the TVs Ms. Carbova talked about and the fancy graphics, right?
Yes.
Because you guys are a media company, you can do fancy graphics, right?
Yes.
Oh, and then there's links to things you sell. Instahard, that's a pill you guys sell?
I'm not too familiar with the product. It's a new one, but I guess it's a pill.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm sorry.
It is a product, though, that we sell, yes.
Fair enough. Diet Force, something you sell?
Yes.
Do you have any idea where that stuff's sourced from?
InfoWars Life?
The pills.
You mean
The actual
inside the
pills.
ingredients?
Yeah. You know?
No.
You know if any of the stuff is approved by the FDA by chance?
I don't.
Do you know if any of it's been tested to see if it's effective or any good at all?
Well, we test the product for ourselves.
You take them.
Yes.
And you're still here, so it must be okay.
Yeah, it works for me.
All right. Pretty much every day, well, since this trial started on Tuesday, Wednesday, and even this morning, Alex Jones has been on live broadcast, right?
I'm not sure.
Which day are you not sure about?
Yesterday.
Let me show you what I marked as plaintiffs.
Monday.
Show you what I marked as plaintiffs 126.
Thank you.
This is a screenshot from a show that Mr. Jones was on yesterday. Correct, you can see the date, 7/27.
Yes.
We'll move 126 and up.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, relevance and also when the show was taped.
When this show is taped is not an objection. So relevance
Foundation.
overruled. And 126 is admitted.
You put 126 up.
just putting it up to point out that Mr. Jones was on the show yesterday when he went in court. Did you know when he stormed out of court today, he went and was on the show again today?
No, I was not watching.
Okay. We could probably pull it up on the band video and see, but we take my word for it that he was live today.
Sure.
In fact, he was with Mr. Barnes, who I think I saw in the courtroom. Yeah, Mr. Barnes back there, his former attorney, right?
I think you see Mr. Barnes.
You maybe, he's right behind the camera.
I'll have to take your word for it. She's a perfect blockade.
Yeah, he's right there.
Or he, sorry. Excuse me, don't want to misjudge.
Did you know that one of the first things this jury was told was Mr. Jones won't be at this trial very much because of a medical condition? Truth is, he's not at the trial much because he's on air selling pills, right?
I'm not sure.
That's where he is when he's not here. When we just established that, right?
Today?
Well, I know you don't know he was here today. Let's talk about Tuesday and Wednesday, okay?
Okay.
When he wasn't in trial, he was on air, saying whatever he's saying and trying to sell pills or supplements or whatever products you guys have, correct?
Trying to recall correctly, I believe Monday. I don't know if he was on air Monday, and I think Tuesday he may have had pre-recorded segments that we aired. That's my best recollection of Monday and Tuesday.
If the show on Tuesday talked about what happened in court on Tuesday, it wasn't pre-recorded, right?
Okay, yes.
Okay. You hosted with him. Can you put up 124? I mean, Mr. Shorter, you lived this, right? That's you sitting right next to Alex Jones on 124, right?
Yes.
You know when you did it. Did you do it Tuesday?
I guess that was Tuesday. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's all been a blur when I'm on 7 hours a day and then I'm sitting in the courthouse for 7 hours, 8 hours. I'm sorry. It's just kind of.
I understand. I know you've been here for a couple of days and I apologize for making you wait because I know you have to sit outside. How much content does InfoWars make a day?
We have 10 hours of live transmissions every day. And then there might be some other reports as well.
Do you consider yourself a journalist?
Sometimes.
That's an interesting answer. Can you give me a little bit of an explanation?
Sure. When I go to cover a live event at the scene, I've covered sporting events, I've covered weather events, political events. I would consider that journalism when I'm live on the scene doing something. But when I'm hosting a talk show, not necessarily a journalist.
Okay. Well, it's like saying whenever I go home and go to bed, I'm not a lawyer. I'm still a lawyer, right? When you consider yourself a journalist by trade.
Sometimes.
Okay. Would you agree with me that it is not right for a journalist to edit video clips to fit an agenda?
Yeah, that would be bad.
Okay. It is not good practice for a journalist to take an edited video clip, not ask any questions about it, not do any fact checking, and air it. Agree with that?
Yes.
Because when you do that, mistakes are made, right?
Yes.
And when mistakes are made, people get hurt, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, right? That damage can be serious, right?
Sometimes.
Life-changing, right? Devastating, right? Right. You don't consider yourself a conspiracy theorist, fair?
Sometimes.
Sure, I'm gonna hand you a notebook. Just got this deposition, a couple of exhibits that we're gonna use that are in. I'm gonna hand you notebooks to make things easier. Front of it is your, under tab 1 is your deposition that you gave in this case. You recall that you have a deposition?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna show you, sometimes people don't know exactly how these pages are. Look, these page numbers, these are 14, 16, 15. Orient you to a couple pages and lines, okay?
Sure.
Right now, if you go to page 151.
Line or page?
I'm sorry, that's the wrong page anyway. Oh, yeah, page 151, line 14. And you were asked, this is December 2nd, 2021, you were asked, Do you think you're a conspiracy theorist? Your answer.
No,
Okay. That's what you said under oath, December of last year, right?
yes,
Are you changing that to, have you become a conspiracy theorist in that last 7 months?
no,
You're gonna stick with no.
yes.
That's a little bit difficult. Try this again.
Everyone, please remember, put every device off or on silent before you walk in the courtroom,
I'm gonna ask the question again.
or leave it somewhere else. That's what I do.
I'll ask the question again from the start. Do you consider yourself a conspiracy theorist?
No.
Okay. You do, however, consider CNN a conspiracy theorist, right? Go to page 164. I'm not going to read the question because it's long, but you can see the answer on 2425. You say, well, I would say CNN is a conspiracy theorist. How about that? What you said, right?
Yep.
Still agree with that?
Yes.
All right. You did a show on June 25th, 2017, where you were the sole host. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. That was a Sunday, correct?
Yes.
Which is why you were doing it, Tom, right? That's why you were hosting, because it was a Sunday?
No, the Sunday Alex Jones show has been on air for a long time. I was filling in that night.
Okay. It airs from 4 to 6 Central Time?
Yes.
This is the one where you challenged whether or not Bill Heslin ever held his son, Jesse, right?
No, I challenge that the videos presented didn't add up and that Megyn Kelly had done harm to the story being removed from the public consciousness. It just caused it to be brought up again.
I'm not going to quibble about you because we're going to watch it. It is the show about Neil Heslin and whether or not he held Jesse in his arms, right? That's what the show's about, or that segment's about. Not the whole
At
show.
least the last 4 minutes, yeah.
It was the last 4 minutes
I believe so, yes.
of the 4 to 6.
Yes,
Okay. That show was on InfoWars, correct?
yes,
So Free Speech Systems is the one that's publishing that, correct?
yes.
Before you did that show, you had no idea who Neil Heslin was, right?
Correct.
You were, I mean, you didn't care who you were talking about. Right?
No.
Yes, what I just said is correct. You didn't care who you're talking about.
Can you rephrase the question or repeat it?
Did you care who you were talking about?
Yes.
Did you care that you were talking about Neil Heslin?
Yes.
Why don't you go to page 110 of your deposition? You know you're under oath here, right?
Yes.
Okay. You know you were under oath when you gave this deposition, right?
Yes.
Just making sure. Line 3 through 6, I'll read the question. Okay, so you didn't care who you were talking about. What was your answer?
I was just covering a story that was given to me.
You didn't care who you're talking about. It didn't matter, to you, right?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay. You were handed the story while you were on air live, and you ran with it, right?
Yes.
You did 0 to determine if it was accurate, right?
Correct.
You did no vetting of the story at all, correct?
Correct.
You did nothing to determine if it was a joke or a parody, right? There are video clips in it. You didn't watch them, right? Before you played them.
Correct.
How many people do you think were watching that day? Millions? Tens of millions?
Yeah.
How many people did you think were watching that day?
1,000.
You know the reach. You're gonna sit there under oath and say a couple 100,000?
Sorry. Well, I'm under oath to tell the truth, and the truth is I don't know.
Okay. You don't know. You know it's over 1 million. You know it's closer to 10 million, right?
No, I don't know that.
Okay. You didn't check the source, right?
You're referring to Zero Hedge?
Right. You didn't check the source. You didn't check the author.
Well, I mean, I saw it said Zero Hedge on it.
Okay, that's the website, right?
Yes.
That's not where it originated from, though, right?
Well, to me it was.
Wasn't the question. It's not where it originated from, right?
Well, it was published on Zero Hedge. That's where I saw it. But obviously, I understand the author was, I believe, something called 0 Point Now.
Right. I think that's his real name.
I doubt it.
Right. So somebody called 0 Point Now writes something on a website called iBankCoin, which is then picked up by Zero Hedge. You do absolutely nothing to determine if any words in this have any accuracy at all, and you play it on air and make comments about it, right?
Yes.
Let's play 23. PBX 23. Yeah, Sean.
So folks, now here's another story. You know, I don't even know if Alex knows about this, to be honest with you. Alex, if you're listening and you want to, or if you just want to know what's going on, Zero Hedge has just published a story. Megyn Kelly fails to fact check Sandy Hook father's contradictory claim in Alex Jones' hit piece. Now again, this broke. I think it broke today. I don't know what time, but featured in Megyn Kelly's expose, Neil Heslin, a father of one of the victims, during the interview described what happened the day of the shooting. And basically what he said, the statement he made, fact checkers on this have said cannot be accurate. He's claiming that he held his son and saw the bullet hole in his head. That is his claim. Now, according to a timeline of events and a coroner's testimony, that is not possible. And so one must look at Megyn Kelly and say, Megyn, I think it's time for you to explain this contradiction in the narrative. Because this is only going to fuel the conspiracy theory that you're trying to put out, in fact. So, and here's the thing too. You would remember, let me see how long these clips are. You would remember if you held your dead kid in your hands with a bullet hole. That's not something that you would just misspeak on. So let's roll the clip first. Neil Heslin telling Megyn Kelly of his experience with his kid.
At Sandy Hook Elementary School, one of the darkest chapters in American history was a hoax.
Gosh, my son with a bullet hole through his head.
Neil Heslin's son Jesse, just 6 years old, was murdered, along with 19 of his classmates and 6 adults, on December 14th, 2012, in Newtown, Connecticut.
Yeah, I dropped him off at 9:04. That's when we dropped him off at school. Look back. Hours later, I was back.
So making a pretty extreme claim that would be a very thing vivid in your memory, holding his dead child. Now, here is an account from the coroner that does not corroborate with that narrative.
We did not bring the bodies and the families into contact. Pictures of them, of the facial features. It's easier on the families when you do that. There is a time and place for up close and personal in the grieving process. With this, we felt it would be best to do it this way and sort of
It's got to be. I want to have been able to actually see her.
Well, first I thought that, and I had questioned maybe wanting to see her.
Okay, so just another question that people are now going to be asking about Sandy Hook, the conspiracy theorists on the internet out there that have a lot of questions that are yet to get answered. I mean, you can say whatever you want about the event. That's just a fact. So there's another one. Will there be a clarification from Heslin or Megyn Kelly? Wouldn't hold your breath. So now they're fueling the conspiracy theory claims. Unbelievable. We'll be right back with more.
4 years of research. Game changer has arrived. Z-Shield, toxic metal and chemical defense support. It's made in the USA. It's filled with known compounds from nature that are absolutely associated with detoxifying the body, and it supports the InfoWars. It is a classical 360 win. We're changing the world. Now it's time to change our bodies with Z-Shield. InfoWarsLive.com.
So right after you called Neil Heslin a liar, played a commercial to sell Z-Force, Z-Shield. Can you back that up, Lisa?
Objection, CPRC 4111.
The same.
Yeah.
Okay, overruled.
May I have a running objection?
Yes.
Stop it. Correct?
No,
Because you don't think you called Neil Heslin a liar, right?
I didn't.
Right after you ran that piece, and we'll get to that part. Right after we ran that piece, you ran that piece. You ran a commercial trying to sell Z-Shield toxic metal and chemical defense support, right?
I didn't run that. That was probably pre-programmed into our commercial system.
Free speech systems, right after they had you say the things that you said about Neil Heslin, right after that, they ran a commercial for a product that they sell on their website called Z-Shield, right?
Well, yes, when we go to a break, we run commercials.
Right, because InfoWars is actually an infomercial, right?
No.
Take down. I want to look at the source. Can you put up PX20, which is in evidence? This is the article. And if it's useful to you, have four in your notebook there. Lisa, can you blow up where it says, actually, yeah, can you blow up where it says content originally? Content originally published at ibankcoin.com. You see that?
Which page is this?
It's also on your
Tab
screen.
four, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm
It
sorry.
may be easier that way.
I see that, yes.
Okay. That is not a reliable source. You and I can agree on that, right?
Yes.
Okay. The author we've talked about before, and really it's up on the top. By 0 point now. You have no idea who that is, right?
No.
You have no idea if they're a reliable source or not, right?
No.
You've never heard of that person before.
Or believe so, no.
Pseudonym or whatever it may be, right? You've definitely never run a story by 0 point now before, correct?
I don't believe so.
This was republished, as you said, by a website called Zero Hedge, right?
Yes.
Also not a reliable source, correct?
Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it isn't, right?
Perhaps.
So let me ask you this: if you get something from a source and you look and say, you know, this source sometimes is reliable, sometimes they're way out there and unreliable. Isn't it incumbent on you to check it and do some sort of vetting before you put it on here?
Yes, I could have done a better job.
You could have done a job, right? You did nothing. You could have done something, right?
Well, I was live on air at the time, so it was given to me and I covered it.
Is it an excuse to say I didn't have time? Is that an excuse to defamation, to defaming Mr. Heslin? Is that an excuse to you? I just didn't have time?
Can you repeat or rephrase the question?
Is it an excuse to say I didn't have time? Is that a proper excuse to go defame somebody?
No.
Is it a proper excuse to devastate them? I just didn't have time.
I don't agree that that's what happened.
Which part? That he was devastated?
That I had, that even if I had the time, then I wouldn't run the story. So it would never run. It comes to me, I'm on air.
Time is of the essence, is what you're saying. Got to get that news story going now, right? Got to get to the end to sell the metal ions, right?
Whether I covered this story or not, that commercial is gonna run.
Well, the difference is whether you covered it or not is if we're sitting here today. That's the difference, right?
Can you repeat the question?
The difference is it doesn't destroy these people if you don't run the story, right?
I don't know.
That PowerPoint's up. I think we can agree on some points that we agree on before you ran this story. You had one, never heard of Mr. Heslin. Correct?
Yes.
That don't work, that's fine. Never heard of Mr. Heslin, correct?
Correct.
You did nothing to fact check the accuracy of this report or story, correct?
Correct.
You didn't watch the video clips, right?
Not prior to the segment.
Did InfoWars cut those clips?
I do not know.
So editor of InfoWars, as far as you know, could have been the one who cut those clips. You know they were cut, right?
It's my understanding that they were cut by whoever published the story.
You know they were cut, right?
Yeah, the video clips.
Yeah, you know this, the interview, and we're going to get to it with Dr. Carver, the medical examiner. That's 15.5 minutes long, right?
I don't know that.
You know it's a lot longer than what was showed on that story, right?
Yes.
Okay. You know the family, the McDonald family that lost their daughter Grace. Do you understand that?
Okay.
You believe that?
Do I believe what?
That they lost their daughter Grace.
Yes.
Okay. You know that was a long interview with Anderson Cooper, right?
And I was not familiar with the interview prior.
Do you, sitting on this seat right now, know that interview with Anderson Cooper was significantly longer than what was played?
I will take your word for it.
Do you know that her answer, this McDonald's answer, was actually cut off mid-answer? There's a lot more to that answer that explains what she's saying.
Yep.
Did you know that what she's saying is she didn't want to open the casket at the funeral home to bring all the toys that she brought for Grace to put them in there because she wanted to remember the way she looked when she went to school that day. You know that?
No, I don't know that.
Because you didn't do anything to find out, right? You may not have even actually read the article before you put it up, right? Started just kind of reading as you're going.
I don't recall for sure, but yeah, could be the case.
You never heard of iBankcoin, right?
Yes.
And you never heard of the author 0 Point Now, correct?
Yes.
Despite that, you had no problem putting that on the air, right?
Yes.
You have testified, I think you just tried to say it again earlier. You don't believe you called Neil Heslin a liar, right?
Yes.
I want to play a couple of clips out of this. Let's be clear. That piece and what you say in it is Neil Heslin did not hold his son, right?
I think I said that.
That's what the message is. Let's take the full message, whether it comes from the article, the clips, or you. The message is Neil Heslin never held Jesse, right?
No.
What's the message?
The message is that the intention of Megyn Kelly to bury these conspiracy theorists failed miserably, and it's going to make it worse.
So we know this, right? This we could agree on. Alex Jones was angry at Megyn Kelly for that piece that ran, right? On him.
I'm sure that Alex Jones was unhappy that he was lied to by Megyn Kelly.
He was pissed.
I mean, yeah, he was lied to.
Right. So he wanted to get retaliation to Megyn Kelly, right?
No.
If he had to stomp on Neil Heslin on the way to do it, so be it, right? That's what happened. What you had to try to say, because what you're not saying is that Neil Heslin lost his son and he just didn't hold him, but that's a lie. What you're saying is he's a crisis actor who forgot his lines. That's what you're saying.
I never said that.
That's the message.
No, it's not.
Because to say it's a hoax, you have to say all these people are actors. And when you find a glitch in the matrix, when somebody says something just a little bit wrong that you think is out of character, out of line, they forgot their lines, that's the attack. That he's an actor, right?
No, I never said he was an actor. I never said it was a hoax.
Hey, video clip 1, please.
He's claiming that he held his son and saw the bullet hole in his head. That is his claim. Okay, so making a pretty extreme claim that would be a very thing vivid in your memory, holding his dead child.
Those are two parts that are spliced together, but the point is both times you say he's claiming, right?
Yes.
Right. So that's like you're saying it, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. That's his claim. Not that it happened. He's claiming it happened, right?
Well, yeah, that's what he claimed. I'm not doubting that. I never said that
So
he was a liar.
To be clear, I just want to make sure I understand this perfectly. When you 3 times say he's claiming it and then show evidence that you say refutes it, you're saying you're not doubting.
I didn't show evidence that refuted his claim. I showed evidence that was presented to me that says this doesn't add up.
You don't think an edited clip of the coroner saying parents were never united with the kids and a clip of a mom saying I didn't get to see the child is evidence to refute his claims that he held Jesse? That's what your testimony is under oath to these 14 folks, 16 folks.
Can you repeat?
I'll try. You're saying that playing the coroner's clip saying that the parents and the children are never united, and also playing a mother's interview where she said she did not get to see her daughter Grace, right after you say he claims to help Jesse, you don't say that that's evidence that he's not being truthful?
No. And what was in my head that day was never that. The only thing that was in my head that day was questioning Megan Kelly because she lied to Alex about what she was doing there. And then here, the conspiracy theory that she was trying to bury is rearing its ugly head again. I could have done a much better job that day. Absolutely. I probably should have known more about those videos and that story before I ran it. But I never called Mr. Heslin a liar. I never said Sandy Hook didn't happen. I never said that they were crisis actors.
Your response to the comment.
Sustain.
You just said it was to get back at Megan Kelly because she lied to Alex Jones. That's what you just said, right?
Okay.
That's what this was about, is to get back at Megan Kelly. And if you stomp on some people on the way, who cares? You didn't even know who he was, right?
I wasn't trying to stomp on anybody.
It's not a matter of what you're trying to do. It's the result that matters, right?
Well, when do we begin? What's the result of what?
Play the clip video, Kyle video 2, please.
So, and here's the thing too. You would remember, let me see how long these clips are. You would remember if you held your dead kid in your hands with a bullet hole. That's not something that you would just misspeak on.
You're saying you misspoke.
No, I said you wouldn't misspeak.
So what you're saying is Neil Heslin was telling the truth the whole time. That's your position. That's what this whole piece, from start to finish, the message anybody should get is that Neil Heslin is telling the truth.
I am taking a neutral approach to this, and I'm simply saying that is a serious memory in your head that you would not forget.
And then you challenge that it ever happened because you say the parents weren't allowed to see their kids, right? You put on evidence that the parents weren't allowed to see the kids, right?
I played a clip of the coroner saying that the kids weren't released or that the bodies weren't released. So just as easily you can infer that the coroner was lying.
And then you played a family, a grieving mother who said that she wanted to see her child and decided not to, right?
Yes, that clip followed.
And you cut it off whenever you explained what it was actually talking about, right?
I did not edit that clip.
Somebody did and you played it.
Yes.
You don't know who edited it, right? I mean,
No.
Could have been somebody in free speech, could have been somebody else.
I don't know.
Okay. Couple more clips I want to play. Can you go to the full one and just stop it at 43 seconds?
Can you just tell me which exhibit? we're
Sure, I'm
on?
sorry. Yeah, it's the same.
It's the same 20,
23.
23. Okay,
EPX 23.
that's fine.
But featured in Megyn Kelly's expose.
Two things I want to point out. You see this 3 shares?
Yes.
All right, this isn't an article that's sort of breaking the internet, right?
I guess not.
All right. You see the time it was published, 3:35 p.m.?
Yes.
That was the same day, right?
Yeah.
That's probably Eastern time, wouldn't you think?
I don't know.
Okay, let's call it 3:35 Central, make it more favorable. You said you published this around 5:55, right?
I believe so.
So InfoWars, somebody, your folks in the back, I don't know what you call them, writers or editors, whatever it may be, had hours to try to fact check this before they handed it to you, right?
Not necessarily. They might not have seen it till 5:35.
Okay, then they had 20 minutes.
They might not have seen it till 5:55.
All right. You think they just printed it hot off the presses and threw it to you?
Most likely, yes.
Okay. We saw with Ms. Karpova earlier today that the defense played a clip of Alex Jones saying that he gives his sincere condolences to the family. You familiar with that clip?
I have heard Alex Jones apologize and basically correct himself many times.
Let's be clear, that was not an apology. An apology is, I'm sorry for what I did. Sincere condolences is not an apology. It's something, but it's not an apology, right? If I said, I'm sorry for your loss, I'm not apologizing. Fair?
That sounds like an apology to me.
If you lost a loved one, and I came over and I said, Mr. Schroyer, I'm really sorry for your loss. It's not an apology.
I would say it is.
Okay. What am I apologizing for? If your loved one died and I said, Mr. Schroyer, I'm sorry for your loss, what am I apologizing for?
You were sympathetic and I'm grieving.
Sure. It's different than an apology. An apology is if I knock over your bag and I say, I'm sorry, I knocked over your bag. I feel bad about that, right? I did, right? I don't like to get mixed up in this. There is a video, we can play it for you. There's a video that was played where Alex Jones says, I have sincere condolences to the families of Sandy Hook. Are you familiar with that?
Is this the same video that you asked me about?
The same one, right? I'm just trying to figure out if you're familiar with this one particular video. It aired exactly, I think it was exactly 1 week before, not after, before this video. You understand that?
I'm not familiar with the exact video you're going.
Okay. What's DX67? We're not going to play it. But it was before this. Okay. Take my word for that.
Sure.
Will you play the fact checkers clip? This is still part of the same. I'll just.
Basically, what he said, the statement he made, fact checkers on this have said cannot be accurate.
Fact checkers.
I'm sure, I'm looking over this right now. It may have been, that text may have been in the story, that phrase fact checkers.
Take a look.
But
Mr. Short, we got time. The article's not long. If you want to read it and find out, I'm happy for you, or I can point you to where I think you want to look.
okay, would you?
Yeah, if you look at page 2, would you put this up, Melissa? This is PX20.
Water pitcher empty. Ms. Matishek Steele, can you bring another water pitcher out, please? Defense table.
Page 2, Melissa.
Take this one.
Let my staff handle it.
You go up the bottom. Any other word? You see at the bottom of page 2 of the story, it says Jim Fetzer, professor emeritus at University of Minnesota, who wrote a book claiming Sandy Hook was staged. It goes on to kind of spew whatever that is. That's the fact checker, right?
That's most likely what I was referring to, yes.
Okay. He was hired from Minnesota for his stuff on Sandy Hook, wasn't he? You know that?
I did not know that at the time. I do understand that he no longer is employed at that university.
Book Sandy Hook with this. I'm sorry, this book's not called Sandy Hook Stage. It's called Nobody Died at Sandy Hook. You know that, right?
No, I'm not familiar.
Wasn't it on the InfoWars website as a PDF?
I'm not sure.
Thank you.
So what you gonna orient the jury. This is June 25th, 2017, when you ran the story, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you put up PX 73. Both always also good. You know who Paul Watson is, right?
Yes.
Remember what his title was in 2015 or 2016?
What do you mean by title?
What was his job? He worked for InfoWars. What was his job?
I believe he was the editor-in-chief.
Right? Let's see what he says in an email on December 17th, 2015. So about 6 months before you run that story. I'm going to read this along and see if I read it right. This Sandy Hook stuff is killing us. It's promoted by the most batshit crazy people like Rentz and Fetzer, who all hate us anyway. Plus, it makes us look really bad to align with people who harass the parents of dead kids. It's going to hurt us with Drudge and bringing bigger names into the show. Plus, the event happened 3 years ago. Why even risk our reputation for it? I read that right?
Yes.
And you see up top there, it said, send this to Alex, right?
Yes.
You understand that to mean this is the message he sent to Alex, and he's now sending to Buckley, Anthony, and Anthony at InfoWars, right?
Yes.
6 months before you ran your story, InfoWars knew that Fetzer was not a well man, right? 6 months before you ran your story, who the fact checker in the story was Fetzer. 6 months before you did that, InfoWars knew that he was not a well man, right? You're all right. Oh, I looked at it wrong, my bad. So I'm sorry. A year and a half, my fault, not 6 months, a year and a half before you ran your story. InfoWars knew that Fetzer was not well, right?
Yeah, I mean, clearly via this email, Paul Joseph Watson did not trust Fetzer and called him batshit crazy.
And there was an email that went out that said, stop this, let's stop with the Sandy Hook stuff, right?
Yes.
But you didn't, right?
I never saw this email.
So you saw this email, you clearly saw the one that said stop with the Sandy Hook stuff, right?
No, I just told you I've never seen this email.
Not this email. Was there a message, email, smoke signal, memo, whatever it may be, that said stop it at InfoWars with the Sandy Hook stuff?
I believe those memos may have gone around. I don't exactly recall them.
That didn't happen, though. There was more videos, and then there was yours. It's 2017, right?
Yes.
Can you play the Carver video? So before you play it, this is the clip from Dr. Carver, the medical examiner. And you can hear his answer well. I'm going to turn this as loud as I can. I want you to try to hear the question that he's answering. Okay. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever considered it?
I'm not sure.
You don't know if you've ever heard the question that he's actually answering?
I don't recall.
Oh, it's part of saving to the ground.
It's not for me. I mean, it is for me, but it's for the record too.
Right.
So this
So
is
this is-
your video, plaintiff's video 23.
Yes, PBX 23.
And it's loud. Just want to be prepared.
Turn it down right after the question. We may have to listen to it a few times. I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to tell you what the question is. And then you can just, it'll help you here when you actually know what it is. The question is, what shape were the bodies in when the families were brought forward to identify? Okay.
We did not bring the bodies and the families into contact. Took pictures of them, of their facial features. It's easier on the families when you do that. There is a place for up close and personal in the grieving process. With this, we felt it would be best to do it this way, and it's sort of control situation. Photographer, I have very good photographers, but
Sound like the question that I said?
I sounded like it.
Okay, it's close. It's something about how were these children's bodies? What condition were they in when the poor family had to come identify them? That was the question being asked, right?
It's tough to hear, but something like that.
Right. You think the state of Connecticut just somehow wouldn't allow parents to ever be reevaluated with their kids after they were murdered? Is that a real thought you have? You think that's possible?
What's possible?
That the state of Connecticut just wouldn't give the bodies of murdered children back to their parents for the mourning and grieving process?
I'm not sure the process of coroners receiving and retrieving dead bodies and the process of that getting released. All I had was that clip.
And in the clip, what Dr. Carver says is to accomplish this. What is the this he's talking about? The identification of the kids and matching them up with the parents, right? Do you think it would be wise to have a board full of 20 dead first graders and bring parents in and say, go find your child? Or is it a little bit better practice to have photographs and try to do it that way?
I have no idea. I've never worked with a coroner. I don't know that process.
Which one makes more sense, Mr. Schroyer?
Again, I don't know. Maybe it's harder to identify with a picture. Maybe it's harder to identify a body. You're asking me a line of work I have zero experience in.
You never listened to the whole video, the whole interview with Dr. Carver, right?
I don't believe so.
You look at tab 6 in your book.
Tab 6.
Yes, sir. Oh, you may not have.
My book was up.
I'm going to introduce this. I'm going to just show it to you. See something. I have the whole video. I don't think we need to listen to it. But what I did is just a screenshot it and blew up the little stamp at the end. It shows 1528. You see that?
Yes.
Does that help show you that the whole video is 15 minutes and 28 seconds?
I'll trust your word for it.
All right, can I sure it was a demonstrative? John?
Any objections?
No objection then.
Yes, 1.5. You edited out what? Or in your piece, there was a part edited out of what? Maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Take it down, listen. That was available, right? You could have went found that video, figured out what was being discussed, right?
You need. When you need.
When you aired it.
No.
You don't think that video is available when you aired it? Available
I
to.
didn't available. But I'm saying I never had access to it, and I had 4 minutes left until break, and that was all the video I had.
4 minutes left until the ion, metal ion, whatever kills.
Get the break.
Right. The commercial, infomercial.
Commercial break.
Right. Infomercial break. You testified that this was a bait. It was on, it was, you could have found it if you went and looked for it, right? You got disputing that. The full interview with the coroner, the bait. Okay. agreeing with me, right?
I mean, I don't know that, but I'm taking your word for it.
Okay. Well, if you could, look at your deposition on page 110, line 14. The question that you're asked is because available with the whole coroner's press conference. True, what's your answer? 110, line 14 through 16. I'll read my question again. Because available was the whole coroner's press conference. True.
My answer was not to me, but it was out there.
It was available if somebody just looked, right?
Yes.
Your whole story, this whole story is wrong because you didn't know the clip from the interview with the coroner was edited. That's it, right?
The zero head story, I had that clipped out.
Let me ask you that question again, and that's unresponsive.
Sustained.
The whole story you ran, the free speech system put out on the air to however many people would watch it, and then probably loaded it up somewhere. That whole story was wrong because you did not know the clip from the interview with the coroner was edited, right?
I don't understand the question, I'm sorry.
What you aired is wrong. It's wrong, right? It's not a correct statement. Yeah, this timeline of events and fact checkers is all wrong. Not true, factually inaccurate. Fair?
Yeah, I'd say that it's my recollection that the timeline presented in that story was inaccurate now.
And the story was wrong because you didn't know that the interview with the coroner was edited, right?
Correct.
Okay. You were just, like you said a second ago, in too much of a hurry to get that on the air. To do that, right?
No, it wasn't a hurry. It was just a new story was brought to me and I covered it.
And in the process, hurt real people. You understand that now, right?
I feel awful for grieving parents from that story.
That is not what I asked you. In the process of hurrying up and putting that story out to a worldwide broadcast, you hurt real people. Do you understand that sitting here right now today?
I'm sorry if that hurt anybody. It's hard for me to accept that as we're continuing to talk about it. For me to say, understand this hurt someone, but yet we just keep talking about it. So we're just going to keep hurting people.
You think they shouldn't exercise their rights to the court system because that might hurt them, just let you off. That's what you think?
No.
You still don't care, do you? You don't care that these folks were hurt by what you did.
I'm very upset if I caused any further grievance. I'm very upset that this continues, and I hope that their grieving can end sometime.
If, use the word if in there, didn't you?
Well, I would imagine going through this process has to still hurt.
You signed an affidavit in this case. You remember that?
Yes.
Look, it's 14. And before you do, Your Honor, I believe it is evidence that I want to confirm.
I couldn't hear the number.
PX 14, sorry.
14 is an evidence.
It's tab 2 in your book. Let's pull up to the.
Oh, I'm sorry. You asked me about y'all's numbering system, not a video. Let me double check. I was wrong. Okay, 14 is an evidence, yes.
Got it. If you look a couple pages in where your signature line is, you see that part that says sworn to? Well, that's not. Let me just ask you an easier way. You know, when you do an affidavit, that's sworn testimony, right?
Yes.
Okay. Under penalty of perjury, right? I want to look at paragraph 10, please. So one page before. discussing the broadcast, what you did. And you say, I then played the referenced, unaltered, widely distributed video clip of a news conference with a medical examiner cited in which he told reporters that parents were not given access to their children. Unaltered?
Yes.
That is inaccurate.
No, there's
Right?
nothing altered about that clip.
I just showed you the clip's 15 minutes and change, right?
That's a different clip.
Okay. What you're saying is you just took whatever 0 Point Now did and did whatever he wanted to do, right?
I'm saying that the clip that you played as a reporter was not altered. It may have been cut out of a larger clip, but that clip itself was not altered. At least I'm not aware of it.
If I take a clip and take a piece out of it, haven't I altered the clip?
No, you just
Right.
made a new clip.
Okay, so by unaltered, what you mean is you didn't like dub over it or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Take that down, Lisa. I'm gonna play one more, well, actually a couple more parts from PBX 23. We're gonna play that McDonald family clip, if you would.
It's gotta be, I want to have been able to actually see her.
Well, at first I thought that, and I had questioned maybe wanting to see her.
Early on, I asked you the question, it is not right to edit a clip to fit an agenda. You agreed, right?
Yes.
You know that clip was edited to fit an agenda, right?
Not at the time.
I didn't ask you about it at the time.
I still don't know that.
You don't? Okay. You've never seen the full transcript?
No.
Okay. Plaintiff's Exhibit 19 is under tab 3. This is the transcript of the whole article with Anderson. We'd move Plaintiff's Exhibit 19 to evidence.
Any objection?
Authentication, though. Your Honor, comes from the CNN website, where I was not offering the truth of the matter, sir. We're just showing him that he edited the clip.
Right, so his objection is authentication, not hearsay. So do you have something to show me where it came from?
I don't believe it.
Okay,
Can I read the rest of that answer? Or have him read the rest of the answer to the question now?
who read the rest of the answer to what question?
I'm sorry, Miss McDonald's answer that was cut off with the clip that he played. We have the rest of the answer.
Do you have the video? You only have a transcript.
We were unable to ever find the video.
And, okay, and you got the transcript from the CNN website?
Our expert did.
Okay.
If we need to wait for him. Your
I
Honor.
think we might need to wait for the
That's fine.
expert and then bring it back up.
Sure.
Mr. Schroyer, have you seen the full video?
No, ma'am.
Do you, Mr. Schroyer, understand that what she was saying about seeing her child was in the funeral home? That the McDonald family, what they did is they brought Grace's things that she loves, seashells. They brought sunglasses. They brought a Taylor Swift album, Christmas album she loved, a frying pan she loved to cook, and they were going to put it in the casket with Grace. But they didn't, because they didn't want to see her body like that. So they gave it to the funeral director. You understand that's what she's saying right there?
I was unaware of that.
That would be an important thing to know, right? Before you run a piece like that?
Yes.
Obviously, she saw her child, right? Obviously, she was allowed. That's a bad question. Obviously, she was allowed to see her child, right? It is your position that you do not know, as a general proposition, whether or not parents of murdered children are ever allowed to see the child's body.
I'd have to make an assumption, but I mean, I would assume yes.
Right. Play the ending clip. The ending clip. One more clip from PBX 23.
Okay, so just another question that people are now going to be asking about Sandy Hook, the conspiracy theorists on the internet out there that have a lot of questions that are yet to get answered. I mean, you can say whatever you want about the event, that's just a fact. So there's another one. Will there be a clarification from Heslin or Megyn Kelly? I wouldn't hold your breath. So now they're fueling the conspiracy theory claims. Unbelievable. We'll be right back with more.
Why in the world would Neil Heslin owe you an explanation?
He doesn't.
Why in the world would Megyn Kelly owe you an explanation?
She doesn't.
What about any of that was funny?
As I explained earlier, if Megyn Kelly's goal was to stymie conspiracy theories about Sandy Hook being a hoax, it did the exact opposite of its effect. I don't find Sandy Hook funny. I don't find the tragic loss of life funny at all.
Do you think that prolonged and increased grief around a murdered child is funny? Because that's what happened, right? You understand? That's what happened. Prolonged and compounded grief. You understand?
By covering an interview with Megyn Kelly.
By saying Neil Heslin never held just after he
Never
was
said
murdered
that.
at Sandy Hook Elementary School.
I never said that.
Think Scarlett and Neil deserve better than what you did that day?
Yes.
In 2016 is when you started at InfoWars or Free Speech Systems. You knew and know that really the only people that were spreading this lie about Sandy Hook was you and Wolfgang Hollywood. Page 191. Position. line 24. The question is, why were they so important to you in this video? You mentioned them twice. You answered, I think it was more a matter of, from my perspective, Alex Jones was catching all this flack for Sandy Hook, but the other people that were questioning it weren't. My best knowledge. Question. Well, what do you mean by other people? Answer. Wolfgang Halbig. Question. Anyone else? Answer. Not that I'm aware of. That's what you said under oath. What? 8 months ago, right?
Yes.
Have you learned something different now?
Can you rephrase that?
Have you learned something different? I mean, the people spreading the lies about Sandy Hook with Alex Jones and Wolfgang Halbig. Those are the two main people, right?
Well, I guess Zero Hedge as well.
With his 3 shares?
Well, that was at the time. I don't know how many times it's been shared now.
So I want to make sure you got, what is it, 0 point or zero hedge? The author?
I said Zero Hedge.
Zero Hedge, okay. Wolfgang Halbig and Alex Jones and InfoWars, right?
Right.
Those are the folks that were spreading lies about Sandy Hook.
I feel like you're asking.
Let me go back to the deposition. I'll ask you a different question. You say in your deposition on page 191 that the other people catching flack about Sandy Hook was Wolfgang Halbig, and you're not aware of anyone else, correct? That's what you said under oath.
No, I said Alex Jones.
Alex Jones and Wolfgang Halbig. Those are the two, right?
Those are the two names mentioned in my deposition, yes.
And it wasn't like we just moved on. There was another question that said, anyone else? And you said, not that I'm aware of, right?
Yes.
Okay. But today you want to say Zero Hedge. We'll throw them in the mix. Fair
Zero
enough?
Hedge, 0 point now, and I guess I bank too.
All right. You would agree with me that to spread, whether it be the truth or a lie, you have to have a way to reach the audience, right? A platform, if you will.
Yes.
Wolfgang Halbig InfoWars was his voice. Oh, you were his megaphone, right?
No.
He didn't have a TV show, right?
You don't need a TV show to have a voice.
I'm gonna go through some other items too. So I'll ask that question again. He doesn't have a TV show, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Doesn't have a radio show, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Doesn't have some big internet presence, right?
No.
He doesn't have any way to get his brand of crazy out other than through InfoWars, right? That's who he used, right?
I don't know.
Let's play PBX 15G.
You have no reason to be doing this, to be going public. I mean, I would imagine you lost a lot of business. And you tell that to my wife, I am about to kick out of my own house after being married 39 years. Alex, I'm about to lose my family because I'm simply asking the questions that you and your stations are looking at. And I'm asking you right now, and I'm asking all your listeners, doggone it, support InfoWars, become part of the Warriors. We need this show, we need the truth. If you find it in your heart to donate a few dollars to our legal funds, let me tell you, we have them. We have the lawsuits filed, we are closed, but we can't do it without people helping me. I'm too old for this, but I do need help. The big thing is support InfoWars, because if we don't have your voice, nobody's going to hear the truth. Well, folks need to donate, and really they're going to break. Tell us the specifics of where it was filed, what's going on with the lawsuit. Well, it's filed here in Seminole County because all my businesses, Children's Safety Institute, the National Institute, this is my home, this is where I live. And so instead of going to Connecticut where everything is crooked, we're going to come in the back door, and therefore we filed it. It's in the Seminole County court system. The judge, the female judge, she saw what we're talking about, and she did not hesitate issuing those 10 subpoenas across the country. And they've been served, and we're now just waiting for all of the responses. Wow, well, this is big national news.
Did you hear Mr. Halbig say, if we don't have your voice, nobody's going to hear the truth?
I don't remember everything he said, but I believe something.
Trust me, but that's close enough, right? But that was the message you just said.
Rather than play it again, I'll trust him.
Fair enough. Your voice is InfoWars or Alex Jones, right?
Or the audience, yeah.
Right. We're going to play it again, and I'm going to stop it right after he says it, so I don't have to listen to it all. Okay, let's make sure.
You have no reason to be doing this, to be going public. I would imagine you lost a lot of business. And you tell that to my wife, I am about to be kicked out of my own house after being married 39 years. Alex, I'm about to lose my family because I'm simply asking the questions that you and your stations are looking at. And I'm asking you right now, and I'm asking all your listeners, doggone it, support InfoWars, become part of the Warriors. We need this show, we need the truth. If you find it in your heart to donate a few dollars to our legal funds, let me tell you, we have them. We have the lawsuits filed, we are closed, but we can't do it without people helping me. I'm too old for this, but I do need help. The big thing is support InfoWars, because if we don't have your voice, nobody's going to hear the truth.
Support InfoWars, because if we don't have your voice, nobody's going to hear the truth. Mr. Halbig knows he needs InfoWars to get his message out, right?
I don't know.
That's what he just said.
Not necessarily.
Tell me what other interpretation that we all just heard of we need InfoWars. If we don't have, right, say it perfectly, if we don't have your voice, nobody's going to hear the truth. What other interpretation is it that he needs InfoWars to get his message out?
He addressed before that, he said something along the lines of, I need your listeners, or I need all your listeners. So that could be viewed as, we're all in this together. We need your voice, like you out there in the audience.
Support InfoWars. Right? Support InfoWars. We don't have your voice, nobody's going to hear the truth. Right?
Yeah.
Support InfoWars by giving money, right?
Yeah, I think he mentioned a legal fund campaign too.
Yeah. So Because in addition to selling supplements, I mean, that's what he's saying, support InfoWars. He's not saying go buy the supplements. He's saying just give you money, right?
No.
You have a donate, but just donate money, right?
We do have a donate button, yeah, but I don't think you mentioned that. I didn't hear that.
Right. And sometimes you have almost telethons where it's just give me money. If you want to hear the truth, just give us money, give us more money, right?
Yeah, everybody does that. PBS, everybody does that.
Does PBS sell Brainforce? Was it Brainforce too?
No, they just take our money.
Yeah. Without the Brainforce 2 bill. That's the bill, right?
Brainforce Plus is a bill.
Brainforce Plus.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, PBS doesn't have to sell anything to get funding. They just get it for free.
You know, PBS is nonprofit, right?
Nonprofit?
Yeah. Did you not know that?
Well, it might be a nonprofit, but people are getting paid.
Yeah, that's how nonprofits work. Mr. Short, I don't have any more questions for you.
All right, Ms. Moreno?
Mr. Schroeder, please tell the members of the jury where you're from.
I am originally from St. Louis, Missouri.
And did you go to college?
I did go to college.
And what did you get your degree
I studied psychology and media studies.
What, how did you first get involved with broadcasting?
In high school, when I wasn't starting on the varsity teams, I realized I was not going to be a professional athlete. So I began writing for our school newspaper and doing reporting from our high school sporting events.
While you were, after you graduated from high school, while you were in college, did you continue to work in broadcasting?
I did. When I was at college, I was actually working professionally at multiple radio stations in St. Louis. And I was also the editor-in-chief of our student newspaper called The Current.
And what type of reporting were you doing at the time?
For The Current, I was reporting on everything because we were very understaffed. So movies, concerts, sports, just general activities on campus. And then professionally, I was in the sports media covering local sports in St. Louis, college professional.
Was this on the radio?
Yes.
And about how much time would you spend on the radio talking about sports?
At one point in time, I was producing, I believe, 4 shows a day, weekdays. And I was not the host, but I would engage in commentary with the show hosts that I was producing for at that time. So we're talking maybe 10 to 12 hours.
And did there come a time when you became interested in covering things beyond just sports?
Yeah, I believe it was about 2013 when I wanted to pivot from sports to current events and politics.
And if you recall, what was there an event, something that happened that made you want to switch from sports to current events and politics?
It was the Boston Marathon bombing. It was the first time in my life that I ever watched a news broadcast at all. I was not really watching television news, but I had the same fervor for being accurate talking on the radio back then. So I started to watch news reports on the Boston Marathon bombing, and I started to follow up on some of those, do some digging. And what I realized was that we're not getting a full story from our government or our mainstream media. And it was kind of a shocking experience for me. It really just changed my career path.
How did you go about making the transition from, and let me back up, what was it about the coverage of the Boston Marathon bombing that so stuck out to you and made you want to look into it more?
Well, for one, the FBI put up the Sonia brothers mugshots, and they were looking for information on them. But they claimed at the time they didn't know who they were. And it later came out that the older Sonia brother was actually a government asset and had been flying back and forth from the United States to parts of the Middle East. So they knew well, they were well aware of who he was, and they didn't tell us that. And then when I saw the lockdown that they had, I don't know if lockdown is the right word, but basically they were going door to door looking for them. And then somehow he's in a boat covered in blood and they didn't find him. So I didn't really know what I was getting into at the time. I just had more interest in that moment than I did in sports for the first time in my life.
And how did you go about making the transition from being a sports only radio person to being somebody who covered politics and current events?
I was extremely embedded in the sports industry in St. Louis, so it really wasn't even a transition. I continued to work all the jobs that I had in sports, but I started doing some political stuff on the side, doing some YouTube live videos, starting to interject some political stuff on the radio shows. So it was really just more of an add on top than it was a transition at the time.
Your when you got a radio show that allowed you to talk about politics and current events, how old?
I was 23 at the time, and really most of my political coverage at that time was on YouTube, because anybody could start a YouTube account and fire up a live stream and have an audience.
And from what time to what time did it broadcast?
There was no frequency of time. It was really just a matter of if I had a 3 hour or so.
That was a poor question. We finally got a radio show in St. Louis talking about politics and current events. What time was it aired?
9 to midnight.
And were you paid to do that?
No.
How did you get the radio station to put you on from 9 to midnight?
Well, I won a civil suit against the radio station because they owed me thousands of dollars. And the GM at the time offered me a time slot on the radio in exchange for me not being paid for funds. I knew I wasn't going to get paid. I wanted the airtime, so that was the deal that was made.
All right, it's 5 o'clock. We're going to break for the day. My jury, please remember and follow all of the instructions I've given you so far, and we'll see you tomorrow at 8:45 so that we can start right at 9. Thank you so much. Whoever's out last, shut that door for me, okay? You may all be seated. Mr. Schroyer, I'm going to ask you just a few questions. One second. You testified just today that you were a guest or a co-host with Mr. Jones on Tuesday. Is that right?
Yes.
And you testified that you did a show and then a second show. Is that right?
Yes.
And what were the topics of those two shows? I mean, were any of the topics of those two shows this trial?
Yes.
Did you and Mr. Jones talk about anything that happened at the trial?
I don't recall exactly what was discussed.
Are they still available for viewing?
I believe so.
So you think you talked about the trial without talking about what happened at the trial?
I'm not sure.
Well, you just told me that the topic included this trial, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm asking you, did you talk about what happened in this courtroom? And you said, I don't remember.
Well, I just don't recall the exact details.
I'm not asking you for any details. Did you talk about things that happened in this courtroom?
Probably.
Didn't Mr. Reynal inform you that you were under the rule?
What rule?
So is that a no? Did he have a conversation with you about being under the rule?
He did. He told me I not to watch any other witness testimony.
Did he not tell you you weren't to speak with any other witness?
I don't believe so.
Did he not tell you you weren't supposed to discuss anything that happened in this courtroom during the trial?
No.
Any further questions on this topic only? Any other questions on this topic? And be careful.
Mr. Schroeder, during your conversation on Tuesday, what time was that you were on the air with Mr. Jones?
Mr. Jones got in to the office that day at about 2 o'clock.
2 p.m.
I believe so.
And what time were you on till?
6 p.m.
And did you discuss any of the witness testimony from the day or hear anything about any of the evidence that was presented in the case?
No, I don't believe so.
Have you had any other show appearances this week with Mr. Jones?
I posted on Monday and Tuesday, and I believe that's it.
So you weren't on the show yesterday?
No.
Okay. Were you on the show today?
No.
All right, and these are all available online, right?
Yes.
All right. You may step down. You'll have to, actually, I'm going to read something to you first. To anyone who is listed as a potential witness, that includes you, you're currently a witness, you have been placed under the rule, which means, this doesn't apply to parties or experts, but it does apply to you, that it will be necessary for you to remain outside the courtroom while other witnesses are testifying. You are not to talk with each other or with any other person, including the parties, about the case, except by permission of the court. You may, however, discuss your testimony with the attorneys in the case. You are not to read any report of or comment upon the testimony in the case while under the rule. Any witness or other person violating these instructions may be punished for contempt of court, and it may result in my striking the witness's testimony. Thank you. You may step down. Mr. Reynal, on Tuesday, when you invoked the rule in this case, I also, in addition to reading what I just read the following portion. Counsel, inform your other witnesses that the rule has been invoked and the effect of the rule. Did you hear me say that on Tuesday?
I did not.
Did you follow my instructions?
Clearly not the way, Your Honor. I can assure Your Honor that they did not discuss anybody's
It will
testimony.
be easy to find out if they discussed the case, won't it?
Certainly, Your Honor, I misunderstood based on my experience and my practice. That
Because you're just a brand new lawyer, right? Enough with the aw shucks. I don't know the rules of court.
I understand.
Now, I want to make it clear, anyone who might be a witness needs to be informed tonight about the rule, that it has been invoked and what it means, which is that they will not speak to any other person except one of the lawyers, not a party, lawyer, about anything having to do with this case and this trial. Do you understand, Mr. Raynaud?
Crystal.
Thank you. Do we need to do anything else on the record today?
Not from the plaintiff's trial.
Mr. Raynaud,
No, Your Honor.
we may go off the record. You're not excused yet. Because I allow the jury to ask questions, we lose a little bit of time from the total 44 hours that's assigned to the parties. I think I mentioned that to you before. We also lost a considerable amount of time this morning dealing with exhibits and the other stuff. So we're running at about 42 hours total. As you know, it's divided unevenly. Rough math is 25 hours, 17 hours. That's not a promise. That's rough math. You've used 9 hours and 24 minutes on the plaintiff's side and 5 hours and 7 minutes on the defendant's side. Who will be our witnesses tomorrow? We'll finish with Mr. Schroyer, and then who will we call?
We have some depositions. We're gonna play the relatively short. Fred Zip and Becca Lewis.
All right, so we know our plan for tomorrow. I look forward to seeing everybody ready to start at 9 o'clock.
Joe. Were you on the professional? Yes. I don't know. No, I understand. I'm just